Welcome to Countdown to Infinity, a Marvel's Avengers podcast. We talk all things Marvel Cinematic Universe, including, at this point, 7 Disney Plus series and 29 movies. Oh boy. You know, whenever it's time to do that thing where we binge them all in a row, we'll have to, earmark a month.
I don't think we're not doing... Are we doing that?
Yeah, we're doing tomorrow. We're doing tonight.
I'd have to,
To be honest, we used to do it every time something new was coming out, and
That
we're
is
like,
true.
"Oh, damn, let's redo everything." But now you're like,
I think at this
No.
point, there's no, yeah.
Season
Not
1,
even-
people don't realize we did every single movie.
Well, and-
we got a
and-
guest. Did the
Do you
whole
remember how
thing.
tired we were, though? Like, we had to sometimes record late at fucking night.
well,
you
but
know,
like, remember that first marathon we went to for the first Avengers for the draft house? We're like, man, it was 4 movies, and we were
4
tired
movies,
as fuck.
yeah.
oh, I was, and it was tiring
but
then.
now, could you imagine? Like, they have those marathons where like you have to sit through everything,
And the AC goes out. It's
yeah.
wild.
Yeah.
And so now I'm just like, oh, a Thor movie's coming out. I'm gonna watch the 3
Yeah.
Thors that before this, and then that's it. Let's go.
Important to the conversation, because when we talk about some of the reaction to this movie, I think this, the amount of content there is, I think plays into some of what is going on here. But we're talking about Thor, Love and Thunder. Full spoiler full. We're gonna go at least 6 hours. Probably no, we're not. Frame by frame. No, we're gonna talk a lot about the movie, a lot of the connections. I guess maybe what we think of Thor, the franchise, Taika, Chris Hemsworth, and now his 4th standalone movie, which is insane because he's about to be, I think, the MCU guy. At least from who's still around doing it.
Oh, Thor.
Yeah,
I thought you meant
Chris
Taika. And I was
Hemsworth.
like,
No.
this is first.
No,
for a
Taika's.
second.
Yeah. Well, anyways, my name's Manuel.
Hey, I'm Andrew.
What's up? It's John.
The boys are back in town. You come back when we talk about movies.
Yes,
right?
and this
Like,
is a
that's
weird one only because this is the only movie. Not that I'm nervous or anything. I remember a good amount of it, but the only movie I think I've seen for this podcast once.
Oh,
Like
usually
before
we'll-
recording.
we'll-
you
No,
watch
I
it multiple
recorded
times,
twice,
yeah.
yeah.
Watch it
I
twice.
tried to record it twice. I just hadn't any
Yeah.
time.
Some
actually.
people think it's weird.
Has nothing-
I've told people that I rewatch movies, and they're like, "Why?"
Yeah,
They're like,
I'll
"Why are you
rewatch,
why are
yeah.
you wasting your money?" And I'm
No.
like, "Excuse me."
Get a little bit more every time. Get a little taste.
Del Toro said that
They don't like the
Something-
theatric experience.
something about a date, and I forgot. He says like the first time you watch
Great,
it, it's like
great
a,
quote, John.
Yeah, no, I
Something
fucked
about
it-
a date.
Fucked
Fucked
it
it
up. Yeah.
Guillermo del Toro quote. Something about a date.
Something about a date.
Well, we're talking about Thor, Love and Thunder. We're going to talk about our
Don
reactions.
Corleone.
We'll play a game. We play a game, and then we'll talk about some of the after credit stuff, all that. And again, spoiler full. So if you haven't seen this movie by now, go watch it. It's, I think, spoiler alert for a review, is definitely worth to see it theatrically. Go watch it, and you'll enjoy it, and then come back here.
See what the outrage is.
Well,
the
and
online outrage.
See what the conversation's
Well,
about.
and
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
so funny because, as you all know, I work at a comic book store, and so I get
No
people.
way.
I get
Reveal.
people. I get
Episode- season 6 reveal.
Every nerdy thing we talk about on this podcast, I talk about a million times before I get here.
With randos.
Yeah, exactly. Well, people who are like
Freaks.
Well, and sometimes it's extreme
Carnies.
God damn.
it's everything from extreme politicization
Oh, yeah,
stuff.
I heard
and,
some of that, yeah.
to personal takes, to good takes, bad takes, whatever. And so I was talking to someone, and someone was like, "Is it worth going to a theater to watch it?" And to be honest, I think every Marvel movie is worth going to a theater to watch
Yeah.
it, experiencing with other human beings, and having that connection and all that. Getting to see what jokes
Tell him to
land.
shut the fuck up. When
Well,
you're
and,
like,
yeah, well, because man, there's a reoccurring gag in this movie, and it's the screaming goats,
Screaming goats.
and it happens like 20 times in the movie.
Yeah.
And so the first 3 times I was like, that's funny, and then the next couple of times it's not like I was annoyed or I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I still thought it was like funny, but I wasn't laughing. But the crowd was like dying every
And it
single
probably
time.
helped.
It landed.
I feel like that's part of what your reaction is to the movie, whether your crowd was really receptive. Because
Yep.
imagine if your crowd wasn't laughing, you'd probably be like, "This isn't funny." You
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
But if the crowd is having a
that's
grand old
totally
time,
true. Yeah, I think you're affected by the energy in the room.
And
It happens all the
these,
time.
These movies are made to go experience with the fandom.
and
so
especially
hate it and love it together.
especially with
Yeah.
the MCU, where credits roll and everybody stays in their seats. Like it's a different experience.
Yeah, that's true.
And everyone's trying to get that portal scene. Give us more. This movie should have had a portal scene. It does actually. They do open a portal. Damn it.
They open a couple.
Well, let's. I guess let's kick it off. Well, let me give this. So, context for the movie, in case you've forgotten. Thor is with the Guardians. He's trying to figure out where he belongs.
He got in shape.
He got in shape and in better shape than I can't even imagine Chris Hemsworth being in better shape than he already was, but he's
says
in better shape than ever before.
So, you know what? I told somebody, I said, to be honest, I can see this being the movie that was the best shape I ever got.
Yeah.
I don't see him getting in better shape than this ever again.
We'll see. That sounds like a challenge.
Well, because he'll get into the same shape or lower than that, but I don't think he's gonna get better than that. This is his best.
Because he went ass out in this one, so he had to get.
there's pictures from the first one and to this one, and his guns are god damn, it looks like he was pushing steroids on this thing.
Yeah, his
he doesn't he own a fitness company?
He does. Yeah. I'm subscribed to his podcast. It's $7 a month. I don't do his workout. Look at me.
He does have the workout thing, which is cool.
It's I listened to it. It's really good. But he pushes you way too hard.
I was about to say, you did a warm up, and you're
he's
I'm done.
It's literally running and then stopping to do push-ups or sit-ups for 30 minutes.
Well, think of how it's marketed. You want to get into Thor shape, and you're like, fuck yeah, I do. And so he uses that to kind of.
And then you realize you're not worthy. You're not worthy.
I do listen to it when I'm eating hot Cheetos. It's good. I like his voice. He's got a good voice.
I love about him is that he knows that this role gave him his place in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's why he's willing to keep coming back. Which I do. That's pretty cool that he's. We talked about. I think I sent it in a text message where half of the original 6 are gone, and half of them are still there, which it being Hulk, Hawkeye, and Thor. But he's part of the original big 3, which is Thor, Cap, and Iron Man.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to see him still there, and I want to see him and kind of like Doctor Strange lead this new wave, because at the end of this one, it seems like we even have our placement for Thor in the Young Avengers as well.
Oh yeah.
It's I love. I never had an appreciation for the Thor character before the movies.
Yeah,
and so it's really cool to keep getting a different version of him. Every time.
And it's still something you're somewhat invested in is the evolution of his character. We're going to talk about the return of Natalie Portman to the MCU, the after credits stuff, Korg, Tessa Thompson back as Valkyrie, all of that stuff. But before that, just I guess generally, John, what do you think of Thor: Love and Thunder?
I kind of liked it. It was just it's fun. I thought that, so it was obviously way more comedic than Ragnarok was. It's basically a full-on comedy at times. And it does adapt the storyline from the comics, which I've only heard of, and then you've seen a bunch of covers. I've never read it myself, but it adapts the cancer storyline from the comics, where Jane Foster,
the Mighty Thor,
becomes the Mighty Thor. And for an MCU adaptation, it's a little hollow, but you haven't seen Jane in a while, and so having that little montage that shows how they broke apart.
Solid
and stuff like
montage,
that.
I think.
Solid montage. Yeah, I was about to say it works. I don't really, when those movies are coming out, I didn't really care for that relationship anyway. So having it kind of rekindled in a very fresh and Waititi-esque way was kind of refreshing for me. So and then I don't have a problem with Taika's humor. It was kind of over the top and maybe dialed up to 11 here. But I still smiled at most of the jokes. It's not like everything was everything wasn't like a super laugh out loud.
What's your hit ratio? 70% or something?
I would say if I didn't like I said, if I didn't laugh, I smiled at least. It's funny. It's a bright tone, and it seems like he wants you to have a fun time. I can see how that would alienate people, because it does. It does seem like a joke is flying almost all the time.
Yeah.
Even when there is some, I think maybe the only time a joke isn't cracked is maybe at the ending or something. From memory, because that's a very emotional part.
And honestly, 10 minutes straight in the beginning too.
Yeah. But yeah, exactly. And so there's stuff where he kind of lets it go, but there overall that is much more of I don't want to call it a farce, but it does almost borderline into almost parody territory, almost in a way. So I can see why people kind of don't really like that about it. As for the visuals and stuff, I guess we'll talk specifics about it. But I mean, it's a Marvel movie, and it's full of CG, and it's that they use the volume, I think, in this one, and people are complaining about shots not being finished or something, and it complicates more. It gets more complicated when you hear what's actually coming out.
Behind the scenes, yeah.
Behind the scenes.
It's interesting, too, because we don't watch these movies in advance, which I kind of like, because we get to learn a little bit more about the context of the movies.
Right,
so.
yeah. but I guess as a whole, like I had a lot of fun. I kind of wish there was more gore.
More gore.
Yeah, more not like blood and guts, but
Wait,
more
spell
like
the gore you're thinking of. Gorre?
Gorr, right?
Yeah.
I wish there was more of Christian Bale's
You
character.
want more god butching.
Yeah.
Butchering.
Butchering.
God, Butch.
I wish there was more of that. I kind of
I was
wish there
about
was
to do it.
as much as Natalie Portman was in the movie. I kind of wanted more. Like, just wanted more Mighty Thor and more Tessa Thompson. I kind of wanted more.
Of everyone but Thor. is
Yeah,
what
yeah,
you're saying?
exactly. Basically,
Yeah.
almost in a way. I don't really know. Like, see, like this is why I watched these movies twice, because I kind of formed like a sort of proto final opinion after
Yeah.
watching it a second time. But just on my first impressions, like it was a lot of fun. I don't think it's like as strong as Ragnarok's,
Outing?
style. Yeah, and also because like when you saw it then, it was fresh and everything. Taika, it seems like he doubled down on the comedy. And it's like, I think, Delphin, you said, though, on the text message, it's probably what Disney set out to do. Like, let's do more Ragnarok,
Yeah.
more funny Thor.
Here's a movie that made $1 billion. Let's
Yeah.
just do that.
Let's just do that
Lean
again.
into it.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, as far, like I said, we'll talk about, like, intentions or what Taika's, apparently trollish attitude that's going around the internet and stuff. But as far as the movie is concerned, like, I thought it was a fun movie. Like, there's some little nitpicks here and there, which I guess we'll get into, but I do like this better than like a serious Thor movie. So
Yeah. And honestly,
It's
if
fun.
we're looking at what are we in? Phase 4, right?
Phase
Phase 4
4, yeah.
output. It's honestly maybe up there in terms of movies, just because there hasn't been much, and they've all been pretty different.
yeah, I think it's like maybe if we're comparing, I guess, the Phase 4 stuff, like I do enjoy maybe the Multiverse of Madness, I think, a little bit more, and maybe Spider-Man.
Yeah, and I would say apart from Spider-Man, like very, I think, polarizing.
Yeah,
Releases.
Multiverse,
Kinda interesting, right?
The main Marvel ones, yeah. But this one's pretty good. I guess like it's I don't know. It's just when it's like a comedy and it's like kind of hitting right notes for me, I'm gonna have fun, and it mostly hit the right notes more so than the bad ones, I
Yeah,
guess. So.
yeah, for sure. Andrew, what do you think about Thor: Love and Thunder?
I liked it. I think it is an acquired taste. It's the same reason why I liked Mom, Multiverse of Madness.
My mom?
Shit.
Stay
Oh,
away
shit.
from
Oh
Mom.
fuck! He's on. He's on to me. The same reason why I liked Mom was because I liked Sam
My mom?
Raimi.
Just kidding. Hey, we're gonna do this pod like a Taika movie. Just kidding.
Because I like Sam Raimi and I like his style, and it's the same thing with Taika Waititi, which I don't know what people expected, honestly, because Ragnarok did so well, so they just did more Ragnarok, and it's not like Taika's gonna change up his style for this one big IP movie.
Yeah.
Everything
Or
he
for
does,
anyone, really.
yeah, and even like his World War II Oscar-winning movie
JoJo.
is very like it's serious, but it's still funny. There's a
That's
lot of
also
humor
not for
in it.
everyone either. I think
Yeah.
some people don't.
Yeah,
really,
and that's what I mean is I get why it's an acquired taste, because maybe you don't like funny or haha, but I think in order to continue to evolve and modernize these characters, you kind of do need to throw everything out the window, which is what he does, and he brings a fresh perspective and stuff like that, because it's not like the Thor books were flying off the shelf before all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Even when Kenneth Branagh was doing his thing, people still didn't dig that first one, and it seems like they never really have. Like, there's never been a general consensus on the Thor as a character.
Like a vision for Thor, yeah.
People like him in the Avengers movies because he's the muscle, and that's cool.
And he's that fish out of water all the time because he's not from Earth.
Yeah, and but other than that, it doesn't seem like they've really nailed like everyone on Thor specifically. Which maybe they need. They tried the team up thing with Hulk, and that's a good movie. But yeah, I like this one. I like that. Taika is kind of more ballsy and risky with something like with a character like this, even down to like the Zeus character, where you think it's going to be this big masculine person, and he comes down, he's wearing the little dress, and he's twirling, and
Greek
it's
accent.
so funny, and
Russell Crowe is doing a great job.
and he's kind of like doing like a color guard thing, like he's like
Yeah.
throwing up the thing, and it's so funny, and it's something that you don't expect. But I think that stuff, again, I'm just a fan of Taika, so I know I expect that type of stuff. But also you get stuff like, Natalie Portman coming back and Christian Bale as Gorr, which there's too many ORs. Gorr, Boar,
Thor. Doors. There's a door in this.
Yeah, hold the door.
floor.
Floor. I'm not
Yeah.
going to say the one that would get us in trouble. Core. we see a lot of core. Chris Hemsworth.
It's true.
Yeah.
L.A. Nor. No, just kidding, just regular Nor. The boys.
Some more lighting
The
on that
boys.
shadow.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, I loved it. The everything from the beginning of the movie. That's how you know that like all bets are off. They're like, we're gonna kill a child at the beginning of this movie, and you're like, holy shit! So as fun as it is, this movie starts like that, and it starts with like the God Butcher putting the necro sword into his throat. And I was like, man, this is a lot more violent than I thought.
It started that way.
And yeah, and so that's why people are like, oh, it's funny and it's this and that. I was like, yeah, but it starts this way, and then it has some heavy hitting shit like the cancer story that the mighty Thor's going through, and it's some heavy hitting stuff. And I love that it doesn't rely on the cameos of all this stuff. It has the characters that made this franchise, which it even has Kat Dennings back, and it has
It's a
Selvig.
Thor movie.
Yeah, and so I appreciate those because so much of the MCU has become, oh, we have to see this team 'em up, or we have to see Doctor Strange babysitting this thing, or we have to see everyone crossing over like in Civil War or whatever. I like these movies that kind of pay attention and still care for the journey that they're still on. But yeah, and if you're not liking the Jean-Claude Van Damme split, him holding the two things, then you're not gonna have a good time. Then that's at the beginning of the movie. The Guardians kind of help set the tone a little bit too, because it's gonna be a little bit more funny, and that's the Guardians thing. And it would be a weird match if Thor wasn't funny here. But
I guess we'll get into that. I was like, I don't remember anything the Guardians did.
They don't really do anything. Remember, they're held
There's
down.
backgrounds, right?
Well,
Like
no, they're
background
literally held down in the fight, and Thor comes in and wrecks the army for
and
them.
then that's their scene.
Yeah, and that's it.
Yeah, okay.
And so, but they do kind of help set the tone and stuff like that. But yeah, I like a lot of the tech that he uses at the very end with the in the fight scene, and there was another part that I was like, holy shit, I can't believe that they pulled this specific thing off. But I'm sure we'll get to it because there's
Eternity, I think. Actually having the Eternity entity in it.
It's but yeah, no, I liked it all. It was really, really cool and fun. And I think we have a certain problem with expectation now when it comes to these big IPs that have been around decades. Same thing with like Obi-Wan, and same thing with stuff like
Jurassic World.
Yeah, no, yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ!
It's best to go in
No,
wanting bugs.
Please no. But
wanting
and,
locusts.
That's true, though. I mean,
and then these Marvel movies too, because how are you going to outdo Infinity War? How are you going to keep it going bigger? And we haven't even got a general big.
And
threat
Ragnarok
yet.
is like that is like a defining MCU moment. So it's hard to match that. I mean, that movie, Black Panther. There's some MCU stuff that is like
those are
seismic type of.
And how do you outdo that?
I thought that's interesting though, only because like you had those movies are like a fear of missing out though. Like you needed to watch those to know what the hell's going to happen in this giant Avengers movie. No one's announced any type of thing for this, so it's like you're kind of just wandering.
And that's what hurts this too.
Yeah, and that's why I think that whole whatever that we're calling that vibe, it attached itself to Multiverse of Madness. Remember, we hear a lot of people who are like, I thought it was going to be multiverse. And we were like, what?
I thought we were going to fight Kang the Conqueror and we're going to fight the next Thanos.
We'll talk about that later, but this is definitely an MCU thing that they're going to have to work through.
Yep. Yeah. They're just,
We need to go to MCU therapy or something.
Little hiccup.
We need an intervention with the people watching this. But yeah, I think like y'all, I really enjoyed this. I had a great time in this movie, but I think part of it was, I watched it opening night. My crowd was incredibly receptive. I think everybody loved it.
My crowd was into it too.
And it was a fun movie. And you know what? Talking to people too who aren't, I would say, like online, I guess is a great way to say it.
They're not a part of film
They
Twitter.
really just enjoyed it. And I think that a lot of times, a lot of these people, this is super anecdotal, we're just like, well, it wasn't as good as Ragnarok, but I still had a good time, which I think is a pretty valid,
that's good enough.
That's a good enough thing. And I think, it's rare to have someone like Taika make a movie anyways in this universe.
Yeah.
The first one was just, he was like an indie darling. He wasn't Taika's a powerhouse now, He's making a Star Wars movie, damn. But now I think it's a different thing, and I'm sure this is partially why there is the reaction there is, because he's, everywhere now. But I really enjoyed the movie. I think it's a great outing for Thor. He kind of starts off in the same place. He's kind of a little arrogant in the beginning of this a little bit too, and that's kind of one of the things that was interesting, because he is in search of something. And if you think about Thor, he's lost everything.
He's always in search of something, Thor.
Yeah,
he
poor
has
guy.
the most. I feel like he repeats his character arc in mostly every movie. He doesn't know who he is.
And he's somewhat invincible. I think that's part of why it has to be
like a curse almost.
Yeah, you have to kind of shackle him a little because he is very, very powerful. He's a god. I thought that they explored some really fun things here. Gorr is one of just a great villain,
It's
and that
terrifying.
That Shadow Realm moment, I think, is my favorite of the whole movie, just because
how creepy it is.
Yeah, how creepy it is, how cool it looks, how much Christian Bale is giving in those moments.
He is hamming
I understand
it up,
that
like,
it is a
literally.
different vibe than the rest of the movie, and I think it's not really calling it, but Brent said like he was like there is a lot of mismatched stuff, and I totally get that because there's a lot of whiplash, I'm sure, for you,
Yeah,
especially when you're seeing the gore scenes and then you're back to neon guitar fights or whatever that's happening. But I thought it was just overall a really fun movie to watch, and I kind of enjoyed how separate it is from the
Everything
rest
else,
of
yeah.
Marvel.
I think it's refreshing.
And I think that's Andrew brought up a good point. I think a lot of people are going to these movies because they've been trained to watch them in order because you're gonna need it.
You need to know
You need
for
the
the next
info.
one. Yeah.
And a lot of this stuff isn't like that. Even the series, right? Ms. Marvel's amazing, but it's not necessarily
No.
like an appointment viewing. You don't know if she's gonna get a stone at the end of it, which I
Right,
think
yeah.
a lot of the other phases were. But it'll be interesting to kind of see the MCU work through these moments. But yeah, solid movie. It is not a groundbreaking film, but I don't
No.
think, and it's not even rare. Like Guardians 2 didn't have the same reaction as Guardians 1. Like
No.
these seismic MCU moments are rare, and they're the exception. They're not like
When
they're not every movie.
There's very rarely a groundbreaking Marvel movie. Most of them
Yeah.
are just good.
They're
But
most of them are
there's
really
there's a
good.
couple of them that are groundbreaking. We're like, holy shit! Like you cannot go see this movie.
Yeah.
Infinity War, breaking records, or whatever. Endgame, Spider-Man, stuff like Black Panther,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
first Guardians, the first Avengers, etc., etc. But not a bunch
Thor
of them.
Ragnarok.
Yeah, Ragnarok is one of the best
One of
ones. Like
those,
it's
yeah.
one,
Yeah,
it's
it's
one
one
of the
of
best.
those.
It's one of the MCU's best.
Yeah.
But again, I think people were like, "Oh, it wasn't great." Well, there's not a lot of them that are great.
Yeah.
They're all good.
Well, let's talk about some of the cast. Well, let's do this. Let's play a game real quick. It's going to be a fast one. It's going to be a quick game. This is our patented Thor, Love, and Thunder trivia game. I was going to do a fun game, but I realized I think for these we do like
So it's
trivia
not fun?
or something.
Okay.
No, it is fun. Don't turn off your radios. You're going to text me the answer.
This game's boring.
I didn't make a
We're gonna
Kahoot.
play this dumbass
But
game.
this is trivia based on
Am I sexting you the
Thor,
answer?
Love, and Thunder. You can play at home if you want. This is not like multiple choice. These are just questions. And of course, the movie just came out, so there's not a lot that. And like every day, we learn something about
It's
something behind the
5.
scenes, right? Like it's
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
it's like a trickling happening. And tomorrow, we'll probably learn that I don't know.
Taika was asleep. Or something.
Taika was asleep the whole
Yeah.
time or something. Okay, here we go. Here's the first one. Who? Oh shoot, I gotta keep track somewhere at the bottom here. J. A. Who convinced Christian Bale to return to a superhero role after turning down every other comic book film that he was offered?
Who convinced him?
Christian Bale, famously Dark Knight? We'll talk more about Christian Bale as Gorr later, but who convinced him to be Gorr in the MCU? And it's funny too because I don't know if I think most people have seen the interview where someone said like, "Oh, what's it like joining the MCU?" And he was like, "I didn't join shit." You know, really
Like, what the
upset.
fuck are you talking about? What kind of
I don't
cult?
do that.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, I didn't know I was in it." Andrew, you get the point. John, you guessed Taika, which I guess played a part, but it was ultimately his children that made him.
Kids.
Oh, nice.
Who are in this movie? All of the main actors' kids are in this
Natalie
movie.
Portman's
Even
kids.
Gore's?
Christian
Well,
Bale's kids. are
Christian
in
Bale,
there.
not Gorr, the actual.
Yeah.
Yeah, because his kid died.
You know
and
what?
then
His
came back.
movie, his kid is in the movie.
And then she comes back.
Yeah, all of them. In all senses, the kids are all right.
But that's played by Chris Hemsworth's daughter.
yeah,
That
it
one.
gets pretty confusing, I guess, at some point.
I think, and Chris Hemsworth's wife is in here. Like, there are so many
He's the
Hemsworth in it,
wolf?
and his
Yeah.
brother.
You
What the
think
fuck?
You think that was confusing for the kids who are like trying to take these roles on? You're like, wait, so you're my dad and this guy's my dad now?
This is Portman's kid in the scene with me, and like, who do we talk? Yeah, I think that's really fun, and just shows how personal this is, like behind the scenes stuff. But like Chris Hemsworth after Dark World went to Feige, and they had a whole meeting about like, we gotta do something. And
Yeah.
that's when we found Taika. Or here's the next. What commonly used VFX method did Bale ban as a condition for his role? He said, "I'm going to do something practically. I don't want you to use this commonly used VFX method
What the fuck?
in order for me
Yeah.
to return." This
Yeah.
is a Christian Bale thing, I think. Like, I think he likes
you-
to do. He's a kind of a method guy, right?
I'm not sure if you meant for the question to be this easy, or maybe it's
I don't know.
got it wrong.
I don't know.
Andrew, you guessed kids. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, shit.
John guessed CGI. Andrew guessed prosthetics. I'll give it to Andrew because he
really
not
didn't want
to do-
prosthetics?
he didn't want to. No, wait. No, never mind. Andrew, you don't get the point. He didn't want to do motion capture. He wanted everything to be prosthetics.
Okay.
Opposite. Okay, cool. Name the cosmic entities. So in this movie, there are the cosmic entities are in it. This is a Marvel thing. But there are I don't want to give away the answer, but they're the cosmic entities. I would say kind of when we talk about groundbreaking, it's kind of wild that they're in this movie. As
Some of them, yeah.
we've seen, I think, statues of them and stuff like that.
We've
but
also, there's Celestials in the movie too, like from
straight
where?
up, yeah.
From Eternals, yeah.
But
Hold on,
name
hold
the
on.
cosmic entities.
Yeah, no shit. I'm blanking for some reason
I
on them
know.
right now. But
Damn, Andrew, you work at a comic book store. You just
Yeah, no,
told on
I
yourself.
have I have a couple of them already in the bag.
And I know, listener, it's going to be hard to keep track at some point because there are so many large concept things in the MCU right now.
I can only just think of these. I'm sure I'm gonna get crucified, but I haven't actually looked into Marvel in a while. So.
Okay.
Wait, are you just talking about in this movie?
No. That exists.
In general.
Who are the cosmic
Oh
entities?
shit! In that case, I can probably just do one more.
Hold on.
Okay, I guess that.
Okay, let me see. Oh boy. I guess I'll give. Oh shit! I'll give a point
You'll
for
give
each.
shit.
Well, maybe I got the question wrong.
Yeah, that's about
that's
it.
what I was
No,
like,
no.
shit,
Born at the Big Bang, the cosmic entities are infinite, death, Galactus, and eternity. Does that sound right?
Infinity, death. I got most of them.
Yeah. Drew, you got death, eternity, so you got 2 points.
Yeah, I think I got those two anyway too.
Shoot. There's nothing in it. Well, like barely anything in it. I spilled something. And yeah, you got it too. John, you got 2 points as well. Okay. That was pretty confusing. But we'll talk about it later, I guess, because we do meet one of them. But how kind of wild that is. Okay. What are Thor's goats' names? Do you know the names of Thor's goats?
Yes.
No, I know they're based off of like Norse goats, but
And they're in the comics, right?
I
they're
am
in the comics.
not very well versed in Norse mythology. So I'm going to send a big, fat question mark.
Okay. They are the Tooth Grinder and Tooth Gnasher.
Oh, shit,
I'm going to
yeah.
give you 1 point, Drew, because you have
What?
Teeth Grinder and you put Teeth Masher.
Oh, yeah.
Gnashing and mashing is different.
Tongue sucker.
You don't eat gnashed potatoes. Steve Nash potatoes. That'd be good for a Steve Nash restaurant.
Yeah.
You're right. I forgot. Well, because in Norse mythology, they're known as one thing, and in this movie, they're known as another.
Yeah. And I guess they only bring up the names once in this movie, I think, too,
Yeah.
right? Okay, here's the next question. Known for enjoying extended time in between projects, how many days after his prior project did Christian Bale have before filming for Thor: The Dark World?
How many what?
How many days of breaks did he have between his move the movie he did right before this one?
How many
Christian
days
Bale.
of break?
How many Christian Bale wrapped a movie,
Okay.
then how many days until he started shooting Thor: Love and Thunder?
Oh.
I think it's like super soon. I think it might be even sooner than what I put.
Like maybe.
Because normally he likes like months. Like he likes
Yeah,
to-
that's why they went with the Gorr, like the smaller one. Even in the comic, Gorr's like shredded.
Yeah.
Like he's
You
cut,
gotta get-
cut
yeah.
as fuck. And we've seen Christian Bale get that way for Batman.
Yeah.
But he couldn't because of the
He's all about
time.
that body transformation too,
Oh,
Christian
yeah,
Bale.
for
John guessed 18, and Drew, you got it right on the money. 3 days.
Yeah, I knew it was like ASAP. Like he went from like, okay, now we're flying over there and now we're filming.
God damn.
In the
Must be
film,
really
this is-
frustrating.
You have to dive into your banks here if you haven't seen it recently.
Spank
but
banks.
Korg's god, Nani, sits on a throne made of this. Korg's god, who is in Omnipotent City, is sitting on a throne made of this. Nani. Nani. That's so much fun.
Hey, nini, nani,
There's also
nini,
how many
nani,
god? We'll talk about the
nini,
god
nani,
scene,
nani.
I'm sure. Andrew guessed Scissors, Game of Thrones. He gets it correct. You guessed Rocks.
Oh,
John.
yeah.
Yeah, remember he says the rock paper scissors joke in the first one.
Because scissors beats rocks. How many times a day did Chris Hemsworth have to eat to maintain his thickness? I wrote his thickness. His bulk.
I forgot how much it was.
How
It was
many
like-
times a
I
day
think
did
it
he
was
have to eat?
actually 2 more than what I put, but
You both guessed 6. Drew, you were, I guess, right after. It's
Yeah,
8 times a day.
Yeah, I think it was 8.
Good God.
That's a lot of eating. Although I can do that right now and not be bulky. I guess I'd be bulky in a different way.
But you eat it.
Okay, yeah. He was. Oh, Chris Hemsworth was also bulking up because he was
Playing Hulk Hogan for the biopic. He is, remember?
He is, but who's directing that movie? The Hulk Hogan biopic.
I don't know.
He was filming it around the same time.
That's the
question. Yeah.
The extraction thing?
He was also bulking up to portray wrestling legend Hulk Hogan, the biopic, which was filming around that time, but is directed by who?
Oh my God, I don't know this.
Who is
I
directing
don't know
the
either.
Hulk
That
Hogan
was just a
biopic?
guess. And I spelled it terribly.
There's only one more after this.
This
Andrew, I
bitch.
think you've won already because you have 6 and John has 2.
Fuck
We'll do it
you.
for fun.
John
John
you don't
guessed
think I know
Craig Gillespie. Andrew, do you have a guess for the director of the Hulk Hogan biopic?
Yeah, hold on. What the fuck is his name? Oh, yeah.
I'll give you another clue, and you can guess again, John. He's
Oh, so I got it wrong? Fuck you.
Yeah, you got it wrong. It's not Craig Gillespie. He's directed another superhero movie. Oh, no. Intrigued.
Not really. There's
Here's
lots
another
of
one.
them.
And he's been nominated for an Oscar.
God damn it.
Nominated for an Oscar.
Damn, it would have been
superhero
Craig
movie.
Gillespie. Oh, wait, no, he's never directed.
And he's doing the Hulk Hogan.
When
Nominated
it
for an
comes
Oscar.
crashing down and it hurts inside.
It's a DC movie.
Superhero.
He directed a DC movie. He's been nominated
Chris
for an Oscar.
Nolan.
And he's doing a Hulk Hogan biopic. That's a lot of clues.
That is a lot of clues, but still doesn't narrow it down.
His movie won an Oscar.
He's like, let me just tell you
Here's
his
this.
last name.
This movie has won multiple Oscars.
I get it. I know who it is.
I don't like that you did this because
Yeah, I know.
John
Now,
knows.
yeah.
John got it.
That was very easy.
Yeah, I was like, now, and I still don't know, but you gave John the answer.
Think what movie has won? Which DC
Yeah,
movie has won the most
exactly.
Oscars?
The one, yeah.
Chris Nolan?
No,
Joker.
The Joker. Todd Phillips is directing the Hulk Hogan
he's
biopic
not.
with Chris Hemsworth. Yep. I had to Google it because I was like, no.
Hulk Hogan's going to dance like really slow down the
Oh, yeah.
And we're gonna.
Hey,
we're not gonna talk
I'm kind
about.
of proud.
Hulk Hogan's gonna be in town in a couple of
Hey,
weeks.
Just
Just be careful. He's very litigious. Is
Yeah.
what I'll say.
I'm kind of proud.
Thank him for doing this.
yeah.
I'm kind of proud that he didn't. That I didn't know that because I don't like Joker.
There are which Game of Thrones cast members filmed scenes that were cut from the film? There are 2 of them. You'll get a point for each one you get right. So there are 2 Game of Thrones cast members that filmed scenes for the film, and it was cut. I can't believe we haven't even talked about all the cuts. I don't think it's a big deal, but I guess a
I
lot
don't
of
think
people
it's
are
a big
talking
deal.
about the cuts right
some
now.
People, I totally agree with what he says when most directors kind of cut like scenes when they're not working. I mean, it's up to them whether or not. I guess it's up to the company, like
Yeah.
the distribution company. If
I
they
forgot. I don't know who the second one
if
is.
they want to, like release them. But mostly, I mean, what he's saying in a very trollish way, I guess, is true. I mean, if the scenes are cut, they're
Yeah.
cut for a reason. You know?
Yeah. The answer is Lena Headey and Peter Dinklage. They were both.
Oh,
filmed
yes,
scenes for the
that's
films,
right.
and
I
it was good.
forgot.
I'm not gonna. Andrew, you won. Congrats.
So he's not even going to give me that point.
Yeah, you're not even gonna give him that point, but I will. I'll give you 2 if you want. Interesting
Hey,
stuff.
I had 1 point on there too.
I wonder
So
who Lena Headey was gonna play. A god, probably.
Probably
right?
like some sort of goddess. Yeah.
Goldblum also had a scene or something, right? Or
Yeah, I
something
think
filmed?
these were all victims of Gorr. If I'm just guessing, but
Interesting. Well, let's talk about the god stuff. So, Omnipotent City is a huge, I think, set piece. We already talked about Russell Crowe as Zeus a little bit, and I mean, I don't want to jump around too much, but it seems like this god's
you can I think
storyline,
this
especially
movie
with
is
the
fast.
introduction of Hercules at the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like it, what do you think about that in relation to Thor and maybe where his story goes? I was kind of surprised that the finale of the movie didn't take place in Omnipotent City, to be honest with you, and having Gorr really running. I was gonna say run train, go wild there, like murdering gods and stuff. But I understand that may be something that is gonna happen just later or something like that. But,
Probably.
I mean, I enjoyed the gods being like kind of apathetic, hedonistic. I'm surprised they talked about orgies so much in a family movie, but like, what do you think about all the god stuff going on?
I thought it was a little weird. I think we're getting into. I mean, it's mainly
it's gonna
because
be like
my head.
Khonshu's gonna pop
Yeah,
out.
like my-
That's what I thought. I was like, Concha's gonna be here.
It's just. I guess I don't. I probably shouldn't think of it this much. I guess, but it's just the consistency of what the hell gods are in the.
Gods are
Marvel universe.
aliens, but
they're
I guess
aliens,
they're
but I guess
powerful.
they're also like very
Yeah.
powerful.
It reminds me
humanoid aliens.
of what is it, American Gods, where they're like, hey, they're not gonna believe in you, and you're gonna be weak, and so it's like
Santa.
Yeah.
But like
Well,
Eternals,
yeah,
you were made to be, believe that everything was created by Celestials and shit, and then I don't know, like, it's a little confusing, really.
Well, Celestials probably created everything. Yeah, I mean, they all need to be made out of something.
They're there in omnipotency, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
Omnipotent. No, I don't know.
but like it's I guess it's as far as like what this movie is for that, it's a fun scene. I mean, it's cool that they tied. I think it's cool that they tied in, even if they're not like the characters from the comics, but they tied in Hercules and
And honestly, gods from maybe every
And
or for a
Zeus.
lot of different cultures. Which
From a
I
lot of
think
different
was
cultures,
interesting.
Quetzalcoatl was
but-
in there.
Plus that fun god, the is it a dumpling? What was it?
Bow.
oh,
Bow,
the bow
yeah.
one, yeah. But I think like most of those
Those
gods,
people
besides
probably didn't like that.
besides the joking ones, like I guess like something like that. I think most of them are rooted in the comics anyway. Like there's a different, like Hercules is a big character in the comics, fights Hulk a lot and
Yeah.
shit, and so it's cool to see their introductions here. I guess
Roy
but
Kent.
Also, yeah, Roy Kent. It was a fun scene. I thought it was like it's very funny. I think like the having Thor kind of fanboy over Zeus was hilarious.
Yeah.
Um,
yeah. I really enjoyed that part too, especially because of Thor's.
Ass.
No, Thor's kind of.
Tattoo.
No, his the fanboy style, like his
Yeah.
kind of. Not his butt, although great scene. Great scene.
Yeah, I
Good
love
butt.
that when the girls faint, even the guards are like
Yeah.
about to faint too.
Yeah,
It's so funny.
Yeah, it's really silly.
Yeah.
Like it's really
And
hammed
then
up.
he's about to flick off like Valkyrie and the Mighty Thor's disguise, and they're like, no, and they take off.
And the bolt is even silly. Like the fact that his, I guess his weapon or something like that, like is just something that's passed around and like it's
Oh yeah.
another weapon.
And he kills Korg. I got real sad
And
when I was
back,
watching
yeah.
that. I was getting real mad.
Can't
yeah.
kill Gorr.
It was there. It's yeah. I love that scene. It was funny. It's very silly. And then I guess I'm not going to comment too much on the CGI stuff. I guess. I mean, I think we can go ahead and just put it to bed right now. I mean, some of it doesn't look great. I get it. And that's
I
due
didn't
to
know-
some. That's due to some behind the scenes troubles.
I watched
obviously.
it in IMAX, so I didn't notice it.
Yeah, to Drew it was cinema. But like, I mean, because of stuff that's come to light, I mean, it's whatever. It's complicated, I
Yeah.
guess, sort of in a way.
I think it's. I think I didn't notice much, anyways, and I do notice it in the Disney Plus shows, and I think I texted y'all. I'm like, what is happening right now? Like that is a Grand Theft Auto car that is being thrown,
You obviously know that
at a Sim City building.
Yeah.
All just games.
You obviously, I mean, it's weird to me because I was like, on one hand, you kind of know all of this shit is CGI anyway, so what the fuck is the point? But like, there are some like noticeable parts where you're like, okay, yes, I get it. Like they didn't, they probably weren't either lit right or something. But I mean, it's whatever because all that shit isn't there anyway. So like, I don't know how you're planning on
It looks
filming
fake because it is fake.
Yeah.
And I will tell you
So-
the Shadow Realm sequence we talk about all the time, which uses like technology that's never been used before. It looks really amazing.
It does look amazing.
I'm like I think that saves all the FX stuff for me.
I think so too. I mean, there are some like lazy, not lazy things, but I think it's most of this is Taika just taking the piss out of the character, really, and that's not a bad thing. I'm having fun with him, like I'm laughing along with Taika. But I again, like it's just sometimes it's just like, oh, just have Heimdall's son just appear as like a floating bubble.
Yeah.
And not a bad thing because like technically that's in the rules of the MCU that
Yeah.
shit can happen. But there's just like little things like that where you kind of end up noticing. I guess this just ties.
Oh,
up
you're
back
talking about
into
CGI of it.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
I'm tying this back into the God place because like most of that looked like they're obviously around a volume or a lot of green screen, like obviously.
I could
like,
watch a stage play and realize that she's jumping into a cardboard car, but that's an actual car.
But that's that was yeah, I guess back to that the introduction of the gods and Russell Crowe, like funny things. Anyone's gonna go out there and work with Taika if they're literally just having a party on set,
Yeah.
which it seems.
I mean,
like they
Russell
are.
Crowe is kind of ipso facto the Jeff Goldblum type, like this
Yeah, in this
prestige
one, yeah.
actor who plays a really
Like a
funny.
bumbling, like very
Yeah.
hedonistic god.
Yeah, which I think is great. Like, because I mean, we weren't getting that so much from Christian Bale because he was all in on Gorr.
Yeah.
Gorr. Let's talk about Natalie Portman. She's returned. I mean, famously, she signed Patty Jenkins up to be the director of Thor: The Dark World, and then there were issues with Marvel, and it left a really bad taste in Natalie Portman's mouth. Which I mean, I think is kind of valid. Like, man, like you got a friend to direct an MCU thing, and then they fire them. But she did shoot. Isn't she in Infinity War and Endgame too?
They
like,
used
for a little bit?
unused footage from Thor: The Dark World.
Oh, and I
in
remember this. Chris Hemsworth's
Endgame.
wife wore a wig and kissed him because Natalie Portman wouldn't come to do a scene. But
Yep.
what did you think about her return, Drew, as the Mighty Thor?
I thought it was cool. I mean, and you can hear Taika talk about, like, on the press tour about how Thor in the first two, it wasn't exactly the type of tone that they would have wanted for a strong female character in these types of movies, and so it's really cool that she was open to reprise her role if the role was substantial enough, I think, and that you get it here where she gets to be a little bit more herself and not so much the support damsel in distress type of stereotype or whatever. She saves him at the end in this one where
It's a huge choice,
and she couldn't. Yeah, she really shouldn't have because she wanted to prolong her life or whatever. But I think she knocks it out of the park, and it's really cool to get her back and to adapt such a more recent heavy hitting storyline. Here it's kind of like when Anthony Mackie became Cap, where it's like, holy shit, like this happened way faster than I thought. They skipped over Bucky being Cap and stuff like that, and we skipped over Beta Ray Bill holding Stormbreaker in this one and went straight to a Jane Foster storyline. And I think
and a
it's
Gorr comic, he was created fairly recently too.
They do mix both of those. It's the Thor, the God of Thunder run, which introduces Gorr, the God Butcher, and then the Mighty Thor run there. I think even at one point in the comics, the Mighty Thor and Sam Wilson's Cap hook up.
Oh.
And there's like a cover.
Cool.
I think I have that cover upstairs, and it was super crazy
Some
because
godly banging about to happen.
Captain America's about to be fucking limping.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about that montage earlier, but it is kind of a devastating thing. And I think it's, it plays as a rom-com for a bit, but then becomes really, really serious, especially when Thor basically tells her, like, just...
And
like, we need to make sure you're okay.
Well, and because he ends up finding out what he's looking for, and it's the love that he lost from everyone that he's lost.
Yeah,
and
so it happens again.
Yeah, and so here you're just like, oh man, like I can protect it now, and I know what I'm fighting for, and this and that. So it's just it's heavy hitting, heavy hitting stuff.
And she plays really well too with the rest of the Thor repertoire cast.
And
like
her-
Valkyrie
yeah.
and
She
her
does,
are
yeah,
great. Korg and her are
I
fantastic.
think that's a testament to how good Portman is to just
Yeah.
kind of like being on the spot and just kind of like, obviously like mixing it up with the other actors. Like it didn't look like her and I don't know if I totally believe the chemistry between her and Thor in the first two movies, but this one, there was something special about their connection here, in my opinion.
Even her and Gorr, when like Gorr has them all strung up, and the way he's talking to her and stuff like that.
Shadow Realm. Mhm.
Yeah, where he's telling her that she's dying and this and that, and it's like, man, it's crazy.
I don't know if it's exactly stated, but she got her cancer from holding the ether, right? Like
So in
it's
this one,
implied.
they make it seem that
Like
it's
Dark World.
it's hereditary because
it's hereditary.
remember she watches her mom die of the same
Oh,
cancer.
okay.
you're right.
in the movie, but I wouldn't doubt that the having an Infinity Stone
Doesn't help.
you
Doesn't help at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty devastating thing for her, definitely. And I'm sure it's also part, and then also, cheers to heaven, at the end.
And,
So
and they do their
after
best
credits.
to kind of ease you in, where she has that funny Event Horizon and Interstellar conversation with the kid.
Yeah.
And then Kat Dennings comes in to kind of
Yeah.
try to ease you into it. But yeah, it's really sad.
Yeah, she's one of the coolest, I think, human characters in the MCU. Even though we don't really get her for a lot of these movies, at least in the two that she's in, like it's a pretty great, role for Natalie Portman. And again, who knows? She may come back. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, hey, there are gods of the underworld, right? If there's a Zeus, there's a Hades that can make a deal for you to go back up. Or what was it that happened in Moon Knight where
Yeah.
he came back from the afterlife?
No one's
And
ever really gone.
No one's ever really gone.
That's so confusing on like what
mean-
the different realms and different religions send you to different.
Yeah, heaven's real.
Well, and that's
different
why
heavens.
that's why I like it here, where they're like, "Hey, worry about your own gods.
Yeah.
worry about your own people." We're like, if you're an Asgardian, then Olympian gods aren't going to come save your Asgardian people.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh shit, it's just like
You got your own
to each their own
fiefdom to
Yeah.
take care of.
No one's stepping on anybody's toes."
We talked about Valkyrie a little bit. Valkyrie, Korg, who were main parts of Thor Ragnarok,
Yeah.
really solid, parts of that.
Scene stealers from those
Scene
movies.
stealers,
Yeah.
huge moments. I think they're in this movie. Valkyrie is the president of New Asgard on Earth. It's kind of a tourist
And it's
trap.
like thriving now.
Thriving. She's sort of looking. Everything's kind of mundane to
She's
her.
in an Old Spice commercial.
She's in an Old Spice commercial, which they paid $400,000 million for. That's not even a number, but it's she's kind of interesting. But they do kind of Kingo her, huh? Like in the movie, they kind of like you stabbed.
That's totally true. I mean, you're not wrong.
They do that to Mighty Thor, but she ends up coming back.
Yeah,
I do think that there's a lot left on the cutting floor. You
Of
can
course,
totally
yeah.
tell.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more obvious here than it is in most movies.
yeah.
Kind of like, I mean, it has the same feeling as Multiverse of Madness, where like it's very obviously very much to the director. Like, it's very much the director's style, but it's still put together by Marvel Committee, if that makes any sense. Like, it totally feels that way still. So, and Drew,
You okay?
No, it's the you stabbed.
That's
You do the
legit
Kingo
what
thing.
happened, and then
made
she
me laugh
just
the way he said
and she
it.
also is like, "Here's the bolt, you can have it." Like it does. I
guess that's true,
It's
yeah.
very, I think, shocking, but it's fine because the movie's kind of more about the Mighty Thor, Jane Foster, and Thor, and of course she's. It has the benefit of still being alive, so she could be in more stuff. And it's also interesting too that Marvel. Shoot, I already forgot his name. The rock guy, Taika's voice.
Korg?
Korg, yeah.
Korg and her also facilitate this kind of LGBTQ storyline, or I don't even think it's a storyline. Reference, I guess, in the movie where they talk about looking for love, and we learn that Korg, I guess, like goes into a volcano. We see this.
Yeah,
it happens in the
he
movie.
was the way he was born, where his two dads they hold on to each other in the middle of this volcano, and it's so hot that it melts their hands together, and a piece
create
falls
another
off, and then
boy.
that creates
Yeah.
another. And then obviously Valkyrie talking about the Valkyrie love she lost against Hela, and
she kind of learns to love herself. That's what Taika says. Like, that was the goal. They were going to have a thing where she's looking and finds
everything
a
is
love interest.
rooted in love here, and that's why when it's like there's not
Yeah.
a lot going on, I was like, if you really think about it, there's a lot of things. Like
And-
even people loving like their
Yeah.
weapons too, with like Mjolnir and
And you know what really
and
hit
Stormbreaker
me
and the lightning
in the
bolt
theater, and I don't know if it's because I'm slow or
the
what,
Necrosword.
but when they reveal that Thor's daughter's name is Love, I was like, oh.
Yeah,
like
Love
I was
and
like,
Thunder,
oh,
yeah.
like I thought I was like, oh shit, that's awesome, like Love, and then the God of Thunder. But I don't
Fuck
know,
Love.
I don't know if people
No, I'm
were
just playing.
already like on that page like hours before I was.
I actually no. I think when it was revealed, you're talking about the ending scene, right?
The
like when
ending, like
Korg
when-
is narrating.
Yeah, and then
I
her
didn't
name
know
is
that
Love.
either. I was like, oh, because I thought he was just going my love, like like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
nickname or something. Like Gorr was saying that. I didn't know her name was actually Love either. That did surprise me, and I
And
was like,
TBH, if Thor 5, what is the next one? Thor 5 or whatever. If Thor 5 is him and his IRL daughter as Love,
It can be like basically like you get
I'm on board.
God of War the game, and you make it this next
Yeah,
movie,
I'm
and
kinda-
everyone's fucking
that's
in.
really fun to me.
Because it's the
and,
same thing. Like the gods are coming down to fight him, and it's like it's God of War. Like now he has to fight the
Yeah.
gods.
I guess they are coming back. I mean, I think
Thor will
Taika
return.
and Chris Hemsworth said that when they saw it in theaters, when they said Thor
Oh,
will
yeah.
return, they said they were both pleasantly surprised.
What?
They were like,
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure they don't get told either. But also, that could just mean like Thor's returning in the next Avengers movie,
Yeah.
and then that's it.
On a screen.
He's gonna die
Yeah.
on the next Avengers movie, and then
In a
Love
flashback.
But Love is essentially gonna take the place of Thor on the Young
Yeah.
Avengers. We have a Hawkeye, we have a She-Hulk, we have a new Captain America, we have a new what's
Miss Marvel?
Yeah,
You're gonna lose track. There's
new
too
Marvel.
many.
a
Legit,
lot
there's
of,
too
like,
many.
There's a new
Because
Black
Wanda's
Widow.
Kids, yeah.
There's a new Black Widow, Speed and Wiccan. Yeah, you're
America
right.
Chavez. There's too much.
Yep, there's a new Ironheart,
Yeah.
and so now we get a new Thor here, and it's the best. It's all setting it up, baby.
That scene where they do end up fighting at the end. Also, I want to talk about this because I don't know if this worked for you, but Heimdall. No. Mjolnir. We learned so much about Viking mythology, or at least the words.
Like just look
Mjolnir
up.
and Stormbreaker. They're each wielding one. One can be held by someone who's worthy. Stormbreaker seems like it's just anyone who can lift
Because
it.
Gorr the God Butcher just took that
Drags
shit.
it, which I thought was cool because he couldn't lift it up because he's weak. And
Because
so-
he's malnourished.
but it's strong. Oh, but
When he who has the cancer also,
that's true.
because
It's eating his mind, yeah.
And so you're like, damn, there's so many.
the only thing he can lift is the sword.
The
Yeah.
Necro
Yeah,
sword.
the Necrosword.
What did you think about kind of the running joke there too? Because it kind of worked for me a lot with
Oh,
them
the
being
the
Heimdall and
jealous?
Stormbreaker being
Well, Mjolnir and Stormbreaker.
Mjolnir and Stormbreaker being kind of sentient almost beings.
really over the top and silly. That being said, it worked for me. Like I smiled and laughed.
And
Like
every
a
time it
jealous
happened.
boyfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a theme. It's a theme.
I get it. But it's just funny having like where there's 2 water bottles on the table right now, and then like you choose one, the other one's gonna get pissed. Like I think it's such a silly moment
Yeah.
in theory, and even on screen it is. But like it's funny.
It's
I thought
like
it was
the
funny
cape,
to me.
like Doctor Strange's cape.
Yeah, that's true.
It's
It-
all enchanted
and
stuff. It's not just
yeah.
inanimate objects.
And then I forgot you got to introduce Zeus's bolt in there. I wonder if
Yeah,
he's
and-
feeling anything.
And that's why that last sequence is amazing. In that what is it? The dark. Was it the dark dimension or no? What's
Shadow.
it called? Shadow realm.
Yeah,
there you
yeah.
go. There's so many
the center
fucking
of the
different-
universe, right?
Yeah.
Or something like that.
And yeah, it's amazing because it's colorless, but they all have projectiles to throw, and so you see these colors of lightning. Like
Yeah.
blue is
Small
Stormbreaker,
little-
and the
yeah.
electricity from Mjolnir, and then you have the lightning, and it's revolving around the planet. It's amazing. The planet's way smaller than you think it is, which it has
Yeah.
a funny reveal when when the ghosts just run into it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Thor killed a lot of gods. Like they disappear into gold dust, right? And
Yeah.
when he was whipping around those whips, like he was killing
Oh,
someone.
well,
those weren't
Omnipotent
so.
City, yeah.
It's not gold dust. They're bleeding gold. Like like the
Okay.
god at the beginning. It's really weird, but they bleed gold. And there was a
Just
guy
like a king
that sounds
should.
like
Well,
that
and-
sounds like a PG-13
well,
workaround.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
and
Yeah.
also like there's people
Who came up with
like
this, Trump?
Yeah.
connecting it online where it's like about classes where it's like one of them like is
I mean,
the
of
rich
course,
and stuff
yeah.
like that, and then Gorr the God Butcher's obviously the
The lowest of the
yeah,
low. Yeah.
and so literally dressing in rags and poverty and we're malnourished, and so there's a lot of hidden subtext there too. But yeah, it's that sequence is hilarious when they're all bleeding gold. They cut out that scene where Tessa Thompson licks her blade after.
oh my god.
I was just wondering because of the fact that like
bleeds gold?
because the gold thing is because we're talking about the ending scene and
Mm-hmm.
there's that scene where Natalie Portman passes away. I guess it was just a random one that just came
Yeah.
in. She passes away and she turns into gold dust, and I was like, I saw a lot of other gold dust in the scene and I couldn't remember what it was, and it was the scene where Thor
and
was
it's hard
fighting
not
all
to
the
like
gold.
think too of like the blip and being like, oh
Sam
man,
Neill throwing the
everyone's
gold.
getting dusted in this.
Or yeah, I mean I don't know, the eternity thing. Why didn't he, when the blip happened? Why didn't he go to eternity and wish for the universe to?
And it
come
really
back?
did feel. I think there's something there too when Thor tells him like, you don't have to wish for the gods to die. You can just wish for your daughter to come back. That seemed a little really obvious. I was like, oh yeah, like he should. If that's
did
what he
think that.
wanted.
Yeah, he was like, oh fuck. It's like he didn't think of that.
You're right,
Yeah.
because that's what he wanted. Like really, ultimately, I mean, it leads into the whole love thing too. Did you think? So we can wrap up. Not Heimdall. Mjolnir.
Mjolnir.
Yeah, I like the thing that where it kind of comes apart now and kind of does.
That is a pretty cool
when
thing,
all
yeah.
those monsters are kidnapping everyone in the city. We get to see the mighty Thor kind of working with that new upgrade.
It's like a shotgun blast now instead of just
buckshot.
throwing
It's got,
it once.
it's got buckshot now.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool.
I mean, but also it's just, I mean, I feel like there's going to be a lot of really important mystical objects in this phase of the MCU. We got bangles, we got 10 rings, we've got now bolts and all kinds
the
of
ebony
stuff.
blade,
Yeah,
which is another like it's almost like a cousin to the Necrosword almost.
yeah, and from Eternals, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's where it's. Oh my god! But I mean, like Thor has 3 of them.
Cosmic
now? Damn.
MacGuffins. Well, we're still going with these. I mean, the stones were there from the other phases.
We were
too.
trained to look for these MacGuffins.
Yeah, exactly.
What were some other sequences that kind of stood? I mean, the opening sequence with Guardians had that Mad Max vibe going on.
Yeah, that's pretty. That really does set the tone of
Yeah.
the silliness to come. I feel like.
Tons of Guns N' Roses, and there's a big
Tons of Guns N'
Heimdall
Roses.
son
I'm not
Axl
sure if-
Rose thing.
I'm not sure if I really dug the overuse.
Somebody
of Guns N'
got the
Roses.
rights, right?
Obviously, but like I was just like, oh, okay. I think some Easter eggs were pretty cool. I think the battle with Gorr at the center of the universe is cool because you see statues of the Living Tribunal. You
Yeah.
see statues of the Watcher. Uatu
Yeah.
the Watchers there. Drew says it could just be
This
a
is the
Watcher.
kids battle,
Watcher.
right? Kid battle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see like the statues of the cosmic beings in the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
Like even if they're not in the, like you see like their actual like the Living Tribunal and the Watcher, which is pretty cool.
Death
Yeah, death.
is in that bitch.
I think stuff like that is awesome. I'm pretty sure there's other. There's the Celestials that are there in the city, which is pretty cool.
We got to watch it again. I bet you could pause it.
I'm pretty sure you can pause.
One
it
of
like
them
a
is
bunch
one of them
stuff.
is the Mad Celestial, and then he's just mad, and then the other one is the Gardener, which I'd imagine is like, oh, he's the green.
What are they just hanging out there or something? Like it's kind of weird.
I thought they were
Like,
supposed to be bigger, but okay.
well, they can change their size. Like the
Ant-Man.
Celestials can
small,
change their
yeah.
size and like they can appear big or small or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, some pretty cool. So I really kind of, I guess I'm just trying to say that I want more references to Eternals, I guess. But
Who knows? I mean, we legitimately got like a Harry Styles thing at the end. We got
Star Fox.
Yeah, we've got, and we don't know if we're ever going to see that again. I'm sure we
Yeah.
will, but that's
Disney,
also
Disney wants to like
that just
pump the
happens.
brakes.
That's all the
You're right, that just happened.
reveals at the end. Because I mean, we don't even know when we'll see Hercules. TBH.
The legendary journeys.
It's just TBD.
The Hercules introduction was pretty cool. I guess like that's awesome. That feels like with this movie that is a perfect introduction to that character because of how also just like the fact that a character named Hercules, like a Hercules character, is in the MCU is just funny. Like, so
He doesn't even like really do much, but I can't wait to see what kind of Hercules he plays.
he plays, yeah.
So he's the only thing on frame when it's there, but he looks small to me. So I hope that when he's in frame with other characters, that he's like CGI'd bigger,
Huge,
like
yeah.
a little bit bigger.
Hey,
Because
Brett Goldstein, right? Is that his name? Like he's got. He
Well, I
probably
mean-
had like two. He's got from now until whenever.
Well,
that comes out.
and
that
he
next
was
one.
like he was muscular and stuff like that, but again, he looked like a normal sized person, which I
Yeah.
need him to be bigger.
You need
Yeah.
to be Kevin
And-
Sorbo
and
sized.
When you know what's crazy is like he's almost like the perfect actor because it looks like he's naturally hairy and that's Hercules.
Greek, right?
Hercules is always fucking hairy as fuck, like in the
Yeah.
comics. He's got so much like facial hair. And
Yeah, it's perfect casting.
yeah,
to
it
be
was
honest
good.
with you.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean that'll
Toga.
then my boy Heimdall's back. Heimdall is really back. So not just Mjolnir, but
be
Heimdall in
himself
Valhalla.
in the last. That's the last.
That credit scene?
After credits,
Actually, I
right?
did not see that. I saw that.
Oh.
That means Loki didn't make it into
Yeah.
Valhalla because he was a snake. Where he starts doing the handshake and he's like in the
Yeah.
snake that you cannot trust.
I think that's one of the things too. I think Taika talks about how when he was doing Ragnarok, he was like, man, like Loki is such a important character and powerful character that he had to kind of shackle him a little bit. He's not in this movie at all.
No, he's not. I think there's definitely a weird presence that's missing. I will
Yeah.
say that because I think that the chemistry between Hemsworth and Hiddleston like drives those first three movies. I feel like.
Super cheeky, but they always come together at the
Yeah.
end. Like,
Well,
it's-
especially Ragnarok. Ragnarok actually has like it's probably the best. The best version
Yeah.
of themselves. Them two together.
you maybe need I think he's a great foil to the Chris Hemsworth,
Like,
version of
Yeah.
in these Ragnarok in the Ragnarok.
We have Ragnarok on in the background and see like the background of that looks fake, but no one said shit.
Yeah, fighting the Hulk.
It's a double standard.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. There's a, I
I don't know. There's
I
more
just remembered some other.
believability in that than there was in the.
Matt Damon's back, Chris Hemsworth's brother's back to do that little thing, and then
Sam Neill, Melissa
McCarthy's
McCarthy as Hela making
in
her
it
debut.
too. But there's also some there's so much.
Daryl's back from those Thor shorts. They integrate him into canon.
There's a lot of recapping. Then Taika's reading a story to the kids, to kind of get you to the point where you need to go to. But then there's also the Matt Damon thing, which also gives you a little bit more. I thought it was funny. I mean, what I thought was funny is when he was like, "Do we need to write a play about this right now?"
About this, yeah.
That was just super effective. There's so much in this movie that it's kind of like a. It's a tight, efficient 2 hours because it's just hitting you from
There's
all
a lot,
sides.
yeah, and that's why it kind of reminds me. I mean, we just watched the movie earlier today, and it's very similar to a movie we just watched earlier today, where everything is happening so fast that if you look away or go to the bathroom during this movie, you're gonna miss something.
Yeah,
Because it's a very fast flick.
Yeah.
it throws a lot at you, and yeah, and the energy is just bright, and I guess that's why I just have fun with it because I was like I like feel good movies, and this was kind of a feel good movie, regardless of what the ending was like. Like it's way more emotional than I thought it was gonna be, but it was like a feel good movie, and it's I don't know, it's a fun hangout with the characters. You can totally tell everyone's having fun on set, whether or not that translated well into a healthy post production thing.
yeah.
That's different, but everyone seems to be kind of having fun at what they're doing. So
Yeah, and honestly, to talk about Taika a little more, he is a legit auteur filmmaker. He's got a voice, and kind of like what we saw with Sam Raimi in Multiverse of Madness. Though Multiverse in this movie, not to disparage anything else, because there are other auteurs like James Gunn is doing stuff, but it feels like it was made by a specific person. Even this one, and I think that's what I appreciate about it. And Taika does this thing where he kind of demystifies like werewolves or Hitler and Zeus, and kind of brings them down to kind of a funny level, or vampires doing what we do in the shadows. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of found family stuff in all his work, including like Boy, Hunt for the Wilder People. And I mean, at the end of this, it is like a found family
thing.
type thing. So I don't know, like all of that stuff I think was really impressive and I really enjoyed. But let's go around the horn, give our final thoughts on Thor, Love and Thunder. Drew?
I liked it. Good movie, good Marvel movie. It's probably the second best Thor movie. I think that I like that this movie did something different while still leaving us at a place where we can still do something different with the character. Mm-hmm. So introducing love and all that, I think that's that'll be a really cool dynamic and something that obviously Thor's never done before. Yeah. So it was cool to see him kind of split the duties in this one with the mighty Thor. And I think the cast knocked it out of the park. And we could have used a little bit more of some characters, but that's all movies, right? Oh, I could have used more of the good stuff all the time. So,
and it's hard to judge, like, we've got this with Multiverse, like, stuff that should have been in a movie, but it's not in the movie. You can't really, like...
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so, but yeah, it was fun. I love... I'll watch anything Taika Waititi's attached to just because it's him. And he's one of those directors that I follow pretty closely just because I like his track record. So... I dig it, and I hope that everyone can come back he can do his own trilogy. He can finish it off and then move on if he wants to after that.
That'll be interesting. I think he would be up. I mean, who knows? He's so busy. I don't know. Mm-hmm. John, what do you think of this movie?
I had a lot of fun with it. It's not as bad as like what other people are.
I just realized I didn't have my headphones this entire record.
That's what I was wondering why sometimes you were just popping.
Or the podcast talking. We did before this.
Yeah, I know.
Uh-oh.
No, you sounded okay. I think we would have probably stopped.
Yeah, I would have stopped. Okay, sorry.
Fun movie. I think it. I think people might be blowing some of this stuff out of proportion, sort of. But I mean, I understand what some of the discourse online is about. I mean, the movie is messier than your average MCU movie. You can't get around that. There's a lot packed into it.
Expectations have changed since from Thor: Dark World to Ragnarok to this.
Yeah. So exactly. Like I said, it's a little messier. It's not as tight as another as your other average MCU flick.
Or maybe it's too tight.
Possibly.
If there's such a thing.
But it's, obviously not as good as Ragnarok. I do think that Taika. I don't know if he phoned it in. I don't want to say that because I really don't know unless they maybe when they release the Assemble thing on Disney Plus, the making of. Maybe we'll get more insight into that, but I doubt it because that's going to be very Disney produced. But I thought it was fun. I mean, if Taika was phoning it in, I feel like I'm jealous. Like, hey, that's the dream. He's he's been giving $1 million, like millions of dollars, to play around in this sandbox, and he's obviously, you can tell he's doing it for a paycheck, and that is okay with me. We need more. Not every MCU movie needs to feel the same. And I know we're getting to the point where it's probably like, the snake is eating its tail because, you're kind of like, you're conditioning people to want a certain type of experience with a Marvel movie. To be honest,
I think they've definitely conditioned people.
Yeah. Like people are expecting a certain type of MCU experience. And when you don't get that, you
Mephisto
feel the wrath.
Is trending on Twitter after episode 1 of WandaVision, you've made something. This is something.
But, not the greatest one, not even the greatest Taika movie, but still very enjoyable. And I don't understand how people wouldn't have fun if they just kind of like let themselves with this. But to each their own. So,
yeah. I think tonally it's very similar to Ragnarok.
Yeah,
very similar. I mean, I think in terms of comedy, it's like the same. It's the same as Ragnarok. It's the same, yeah. I think what may be different is you've got the addition, of course, of Natalie Portman as the mighty Thor and Gorr, who is a really fantastic villain, but
and it's also just not just fresh as the first time.
Yeah,
around,
it doesn't.
The first time was definitely a giant tonal switch from Dark World.
And I think I would think I brought up Guardians. I think it's the same thing, and I mean we haven't seen Black Panther 2, but it could be super similar to this phenomenon where the first is so groundbreaking and the second you're underwhelmed just because it's not as groundbreaking, but you can only break the ground once.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
How many levels of ground you want to go through?
You want to get to the fucking core?
Yeah, exactly.
Then you're out. And then after that, you're just on the surface again. But yeah, I really enjoyed the movie. The jokes worked for me. I mean, I didn't laugh at all of them, but I laughed a lot.
Yeah.
So it's not like
we make jokes all the fucking time here.
Yeah,
You
listen to
didn't hear,
this pod. If you're not laughing all the time, don't come for us. Sorry, okay? But it's a solid movie. I think I enjoy the themes. I wish they definitely explored a lot of them more. Like the God stuff,
yeah.
I was like, in my mind, I was like, ooh, this is gonna be interesting. And even some of the gore stuff, I was like, okay.
We didn't even talk about Lady Sif. Lady Sif making her return from Loki.
Losing an arm, i.e., like it happens a lot
Very,
in the MCU.
very comic accurate also as well.
And she is important towards the end too. She's still alive. She's training the kids to do the thing. But I mean, I think that what I really enjoyed kind of how multi-generational this stuff is. We've got another generation of Thor. It looks like, at least, and it leaves a lot left to see. Even with those after credit scenes. But it's also really fun just to have a movie that isn't so reliant on a lot of other things. Like the homework part of this, we have a Marvel podcast, and it's tough, I think, for us sometimes to do. And I'm glad that there isn't so much of that.
Well, not for me. I think it's really hard for you now that you.
It's not hard. It's we watch it too, but I think the remembering and the connections and stuff, especially when we're not doing it full time 24/7, like I'm sure a lot of other people do. But it's I feel like it washes over you. It's a tight, efficient, fun movie that fits into Taika's whole vibe, and it's super enjoyable, I think. And thanks to Bobby Chapek, it'll be on Disney Plus in 2 minutes or some shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
By
So
the
you
end
can
of
watch it at home.
At the end of this recording, you can probably find it on Disney Plus.
Yeah, I would tell everyone, watch Thor Ragnarok and realize how you love that one, and then watch this one and be like, oh, this was 80%.
Yeah, exactly.
Thor Ragnarok.
People love. I mean, that's the only reason we got more of this. People love Ragnarok, and then I guess they liked him in Infinity War and Endgame as the bumbling, the
Fat
Lebowski,
Thor.
Yeah, Lebowski Thor.
That kind of thing. And then, of course, like, I don't know. Like, I think people like it. It's made a lot of money. It's the fourth biggest grosser of, I think, the pandemic times.
It's going to be fine. I think
it's going to be fine. Yeah, there's going to be more Thor. More Thor. Cool. Well, let us know what you thought of Thor, whether, what you thought of it, what your favorite sequences were. I mean, it's I would say avoid Twitter if you can, if you're wanting to discuss it. Just email us directly.
So we can attack you personally.
So we can, respond, reply all. We don't really give grades to things, but we're not going to do it. No, we're still not going to do it. But I mean, they're not all A pluses, I think, is the takeaway, right? Like, they don't have to be. I don't know.
Not all of them are A's, actually.
Yeah,
there's a lot of ones that are below an A.
There are 30 movies. Oh, God.
Most of them are probably B's.
This is like not. I mean, we may record a pod later about like where the phases are headed or what's happening with the MCU, but I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah, I'm not either. I think they're gonna.
Yeah,
asses are gonna be in seats regardless.
Yeah. Well, we've come to the end of this pod, Andrew. What do you have to plug?
The Countdown Strikes Back and the Dirt Sheet Radio. Check them out. Star Wars, professional wrestling, not both mixed. Those are two separate podcasts.
Yeah.
But all fake.
Hey, speaking of wrestling.
Yeah.
Chris Hemsworth, great shape, really huge.
Hogan.
Never in WWE. He's not like The Rock or Batista, who are like,
steroided up.
Yeah, and like came from the world of doing that. So maybe Hemsworth takes a little turn in the WWE. No, he won't anymore, I guess, right?
Yeah, maybe if they're under new ownership.
Yeah, that's what I say. Like, I don't think anyone should be under new ownership.
Yeah, shit.
But John, what do you have to plug?
Fucking hell, you just kind of like. Sorry, that just.
John, you want to talk about it more?
That comment was just like that.
This isn't the pod for that.
That threw me off. Listen to Director Showdown with Brent and Adam. They have a backlog of great seasons.
They do a Taika.
They do a Taika season, yeah, exactly. So if you guys want to hear some more insight into the non-MCU films.
Yeah, if anyone here thinks Taika's not a good filmmaker, watch fucking Boy.
Watch,
Hunt for the Wilderpeople.
Watch something that doesn't say Marvel Studios
I think
on
it's Taika v. Michael Moore.
Oh.
Is it
really?
No, I'm just kidding.
I was like,
Yeah, me too. I was like, fucking hell.
Bowling for Columbine?
Take a trip down to that part of the Dolphin Pod corner and go ahead and listen to that one. That's pretty cool. And then something else, Revenge of the Sequel. That will be back.
We'll be back in 4 months.
Yeah, they'll be back pretty soon. But we're recording a werewolf season for y'all, or at least a werewolf opener.
Yeah.
That'll open up the new season for Halloween. And
What We
that's
Do in
gonna
the
be pretty
Shadows
cool.
has werewolves, not swearwolves.
Yeah, we're wolves.
Yeah, support the pod, patreon.com/delphinpod, DELFINPOD. Thanks for listening. We have one more episode of Miss Marvel that we'll be talking about, and soon we'll have She-Hulk and an exciting, I guess, Jessica Jones thing going on in there. It's,
Echo.
Echo is Daredevil? Is that what's
Daredevil
happening?
and Kingpin,
Daredevil.
baby, they're back.
So it'll be exciting. And I mean,
Supposed
I'm
to be looking for Jessica Jones. In that one?
TBH, kind of excited for the Miss Marvel finale. I'm kind of like really curious how they wrap all this up
I
because
know.
there's a lot that like
Actually, no.
It's gonna end suddenly.
Almost felt like
that's
the last.
like what's gonna happen, right? It's
I
gonna be
almost
kind
felt
of
like
crazy.
the last episode was a perfect ending capper, and then I was like, oh, there's one more episode left.
And then you're like, what? Wait,
We
what?
need, we need the big CGI fight scene, baby.
Yeah, we
but
didn't get
also,
and the
this
comic accurate.
well, have you?
Yeah,
costume.
she's collecting
The
her
comic
costume
accurate
pieces.
costume.
Did
Yeah.
you see that Avengers Cruise thing where it's got Ant-Man and the
Yeah,
Wasp
and they've filmed stuff,
and
Brie
Cap,
Larson,
and it's got
yeah.
both
Ultron.
Caps, and it's got Ultron,
Yeah.
and it's got Miss Marvel. We watched the whole 20-minute thing. On
Save
YouTube.
yourself cruise money and COVID. Watch the 10
Yeah, it's
minute
on YouTube.
I could
YouTube.
Yeah, I could just eat and watch that because that's what they do. They put it
Yeah.
on when you eat.
I can get you on a small boat at the lake if you want to watch it on
With a screen, the
Yeah.
blow up screen.
with a blow up. Thanks for listening. I guess the next movie we're going to be talking about is Black Panther
Panther
2
2.
Wakanda Forever
Ain't-
featuring maybe Namor. So can't
Yeah.
wait for the discourse on that. And like when we talk about groundbreaking MCU movies and their follow-ups, this is one of them.
It's got Ironheart
Oh
in
God,
there.
yeah.
And it's troubled production.
I don't know. Yeah, this is something that's.
They're
Whoa.
doing it without Chadwick. It's pretty interesting.
COVID themes on and offset. Who
Yeah,
knows?
yes. Yeah. Well, yeah. That's
Oh,
the next
boy.
big movie we're watching.
Can't
All right,
wait
cool.
to watch that.
Yeah.
I legit can't wait to watch that. Okay, everyone, bye bye.